Good afternoon, hello, it's Daniel. This is the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. I'm joined today by YouTuber and professional nutritionist, James. I'll leave your link in the description down below, James. Please do go and check out his channel. Today we're eating plenty of food, but we're doing it for a good cause. James, we're testing, aren't we?
We are. We're testing for you good people.
Exactly. We'll do it for you. Right, today we're testing 10 different types of energy chews, so specifically for like cycling, triathlon, or any endurance sport really. And we're going to be reviewing them, both in terms of how the packets are to open, how the taste and texture feels, and crucially, what is in them, James. And that's what you bring to this table, because I just eat them and think, oh, it tastes nice.
I mean, I can do the eating as well. I'm pretty good at that.
Fine. So we have a range here. We're going to rate them. We're going to let you know what our thoughts are. We have no biases towards any brand. If you've got any thoughts or questions, let us know in the comment section down below.
Should we eat?
Let's eat. So we're going to kick off with the Torq jellies. So these are quite a small packet, opening really easy. I've had these on a few training rides now. And I was surprised that they're all the same colour. Different flavours are the same colour. I did bring a fork, I'm not sure it's essential, so we'll just...
I'm not civilised enough for that, I'm just going for them.
So, I mean, I've had quite a lot of dental work recently. They're not too sticky. I'm not worried about my fillings coming out, and they're quite easy
Those
to chew.
are pretty good. I did a terrible job of opening them, if you want one of those. So yours are raspberry, is it? Mine are lemon and lime? Just lime.
And I mean, we have tested the Torq gels separately as well. I don't find that flavour as strong as the gels. These are quite a bit more just relaxed flavour-wise.
I like that. That's pretty good for me.
And I can see why Beard Meats Food narrates his videos afterwards, not sort of during, because it's hard, isn't it? They're a bit slimy rather than sticky. My fingers aren't getting sticky. It's just like a slippery. I like those. Those have gone down really well. Easy to chew.
Yep.
I like that they're in small pieces so you can have a little bit at a time. But let's talk about nutrition-wise. I have just ripped through the nutrition information, James, but what do you think to what is in each?
So these are great from a performance point of view. They have a 2-to-1 ratio of glucose to fructose, so no problem at all there. That's in line with most brands, and that's decent. The only thing I would actually say, so I know you said having them in little bite-sized pieces is good, but the packet only contains 28 grams of carbohydrates, which means per jelly, what? How many are in?
4.8 grams per jelly.
Okay, there you go. What does it say? Yeah.
No, just calculate.
There you go. Quick maths. So that is not a lot.
Right.
So if you want to get to a high volume of carbs, or a high amount of carbs, you've got to eat a lot of jellies. And actually, compared to some of the ones we might see, that's quite a big difference.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're doing, right? If you're racing, you want to just get it down that's probably not great. But if you're on a training ride or run, you just relax, you just...
Popping these in.
Snacking.
They're quite nice as just a break-up. I think they're good.
Good. Cost-wise, these aren't the cheapest at £2.75 per packet.
Okay, so that's a lot.
For 29 grams of carb, that's not the best value, is it?
Yeah.
And I bought them in a multi-pack, so they could be more expensive if bought individually. So definitely a treat rather than a staple, I think, in my diet.
I don't think those are in every training ride sort of thing.
Next up, OTE, which we ranked their gel very highly when we did a gel review, so interested to see how these are. Now, packets-wise, this is more of a training product for me, I think, because you've got to have two hands to open it. I think you could probably one hand invite it, or it's not
super easy.
Amazing, no. And the actual quantity of them, so 23 grams of carbs per chew. I really wish they'd just double this and just make it 2, like the fuel chew.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like those dudes, so I don't need to test them per se, but a bit hard to chew them Torq.
They are. I like the taste and texture of these. I think they're a really fun option. No problem with them. Exactly the same. I wish you just had double the amount in it, because for me as well, and the focus with endurance events and having more carbohydrates with less faff, that's often the thing. You end up the same. Then comes to like the lower carb gels, you end up having to need a lot.
Yeah, so we've got strawberry and an apple. I like both. I think I prefer the apple if I had to make a decision, but neither I don't think...
I prefer the strawberry.
Oh, okay. Neither I think are overwhelming in terms of flavour. It's just like you know what it is, but it's not too sweet, I don't think.
I think one thing which is worth saying about these, and I don't necessarily know about the Torq ones, but they don't really break down in your mouth in the sense of like, if you're riding and you're thinking I can pop one in and it will just disintegrate, doesn't happen. No. You do have to chew them.
If you're breathing hard, it's harder to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, do we know anything about ratios or anything, or what's it?
No, I don't actually. So can't specifically comment on the ratio with these. I presume it's probably something in line with their gels, so probably more glucose heavy than it is fructose. And
is there anything in here that is special, or is this just a pretty standard?
I think this is just a pretty bog standard energy,
which is fine, isn't it? That's what you want.
No problem with it.
Cost wise, again, maybe they're just all this expensive. We'll find out as we go further through. £2 per chew.
It's a lot.
It is, isn't it? For 23 grams of carbs, it's not a huge amount.
It's a cheap option.
And again, that's buying them in a box. So yeah, not cheap. I think if you're fueling on this sort of thing day to day, it's going to add up, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a pricey bike ride.
High Five Energy Gummies. Now these have a tear off on the top and then a little zip seal underneath.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, which is good because you can, in theory, you can reseal them, but there's not very many in there, James. I don't know as if I'm going to be leaving any after snacking. No. Do you want to?
Oh yeah, go on then. Okay.
There you go. So there's two different colours. You get like a red and a black. So I'd assume it's like raspberry and blackberry, but don't really know. Chewy.
They'd be hard to have if you're, well, I was going to say when you're running, but actually even cycling, those would be...
No, and I've used these in training and I know that whilst that looked easy to do, here, actually on a ride is more difficult. The hardest bit is when that zip seal bit is done up, because you just can't, you need two hands, and of course you're cycling, you can't pull it open.
Right.
So if anything, I prefer it just to be open and then it's open.
You don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, so that is not the best in my opinion.
Taste-wise, I think they're pretty good. I like them. It kind of feels like a real fruit flavour, but they are really chewy and sticky.
Yeah.
I like it sticky in my mouth.
I'm worried about the fillings now. What about what's actually in the product? How are we like talking about this? Schooling wise,
I mean, they don't have many carbohydrates in there. 21 grams of carbohydrates per bag. So I would definitely see this as a bit of either like a taste or texture breakup, as opposed to something you would fuel a lot on, because it's just impractical. Don't know anything about the ratio of glucose to fructose here. I suspect it's more glucose than fructose, and probably quite significantly so.
That's what the other High Five products have been like, isn't
it?
What I've done with these actually in practice is I open 2 packets at home, tip one into another, and then just go out like that.
Okay.
And then you've got double the...
You don't have to have as much,
Yeah, exactly, because 21 grams of carbs and after all that work, just doesn't seem a good reward.
Opening 3 to 4 of those an hour, it's not really going to happen.
No, exactly. Cost-wise, £1.59 per pack, which is slightly cheaper than what we've seen so far, but versus the amount of carbs in there, it's still, you're looking at over £2 for 30 odd grams of carbs, aren't you, by the time you scale it up? So again, just not cheap.
No. Running theme with these ones.
So we've got Veloforte citrus and ginger, and Veloforte fresco lemon and cool mint. Now, is the USP of these products that they're supposed to be like fresh or more natural?
I think Veloforte only use natural ingredients. They've got this little thing at the top, natural ingredients.
Yeah.
And I think they generally do aim for flavours which aren't quite as, chemically is probably the wrong word, but more natural. So these are funny ones actually for opening, and I remember doing this because they've got this silver tear. This is what you meant to tear down, but they're slightly awkward, and I actually have a bit of a problem with these in terms of like, I don't want this bit of cardboard. I don't know what this is doing in here, if I'm honest. It feels unnecessary.
And it looks like the floury powder on there is there to obviously keep it fresh and dry, but why is that cardboard needed as well? Ooh. My packet was not good, but I didn't tear it in the right place. Okay. So on the front of the packet it does say 6 super soft. They are super soft.
They are. They're a weird one. I like them. I'm gonna have one of yours.
Yeah, go for it.
So what was these? These were lemon and cool mint. These were citrus and ginger.
I don't dislike the taste of either. I'm just covered in flour. The packet's fallen to bits. There's a bit of cardboard on it. Is it worth the hassle? Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because like it's just there's so much pap involved.
They've got another flavour, or a couple of flavours as well. I think they've got an apple one, and they've got another really minty one. And I really rate the minty one because kind of similar. If you've seen the energy gel one video, there was the Kendall mint ones, and it's just different, and it kind of breaks it up a little bit. But if I were using them, I would pre-open them. Especially during racing, I would pre-open them, get rid of the cardboard, just because it's so irritating.
Yep.
I think they're decent for what they do. What I would say actually, so I don't know if this is the same for that one, but these say sodium electrolyte, plus sodium electrolytes, which kind of makes you think that actually there's going to be a good amount in them. But in terms of sodium, there's 0.3 so it's 300 milligrams. That's not nothing for sure, and that might actually help towards hitting your sodium needs, but it's also not huge. And I think if you were just going to be trying to use these, which is almost what you get from thinking about like plus sodium, you might think that it will cover everything, and it's unlikely to.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're racing in a triathlon as well, you're going through a lot of food admin anyway, putting stuff in bags and top 2 bags and things. So I think that's a problem, but training wise, I wouldn't bother. What about nutritionally in these? So, it says 50 grams on the front, but what's actually?
So it's 40 grams of carbohydrates. So I think some of them are 44 grams of carbohydrates. Okay. So again, it is one of those ones which is slightly confusing. It doesn't have much else in it. As I say, 300 milligrams of sodium, which is actually pretty decent for something like this. Don't know about the ratio. Probably more glucose than fructose, but pretty fun.
So 40 grams in a tray, in a packet. That's a decent serving. You could probably fit all those in one go if you absolutely have to.
Could.
It does say on the packet, eat 2 chews every 20 minutes. So it's saying have one of these per hour. That's a bit light versus like today's knowledge, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of carbs an hour, but you're not going to take your nutrition advice from what it says on the packet. You're going to talk to somebody like you about what to actually eat during an event, right?
For me, they're like a fun thing. I could see them as part of something like an Ironman plan if you wanted a bit of a shake-up and you're pre-planning everything in advance. But for me, I think like riding, I'd just get irritated with those.
Interesting as well, these are plant-based, so I know a lot of vegans struggle with chews because a lot of them have gelatin in, whereas this does not, so an option perhaps if you are plant-based. Cost-wise, per tray, per packet, £2.57. So that actually I think is pretty decent value versus what we've seen so far, because it is 40 grams of carbs, or just under 40 grams of carbs, so not the end of the world. And to be honest, I thought Veloforte was more of a premium level product anyway, so I was expecting it to be a bit more, and I'm not too put off by that.
No.
I don't think I'd be buying them though, but...
No, I think they're a fun product, and if I was given them, but I don't think they're something I would necessarily spend lots of money on.
That's a gift from me to you.
Oh, thank you.
A very popular brand in the space, Precision Fuel and Hydration. So this is the 30 chew in the original flavour and the mint and lemon. Do you have a preference, James, to what you'd go for?
I'll go for the original.
Okay, there we go. Right, let's get stuck in. And I know I need to have a piece of cardboard on as well. So the same as the Veloforte, you're removing them and then you have to remove something else. Those boxes are quite big, aren't they?
Yeah.
And mint and lemon, I didn't realise you get one mint and one lemon. I thought it was mint and lemon.
That was a whole thing. Interesting.
The mint. Minty.
Those are very, very, very neutral.
Texture-wise, it feels like I'm doing a lot of chewing, but it's not offering too much resistance. It's not chewy. It's just they're thicker and bigger squares, aren't they? I quite like that texture. Opening, I think it's pretty poor with the cardboard, but it's clearly a limitation with the type of product.
Yeah.
Taste-wise, what are your thoughts?
I think the original is good because it's very neutral.
It is, isn't it? Very, very neutral.
And I think that does depend on what you're after. If you do want a bit of a sweet blast, it's not going to give you that at all. But I think it's good. And I think the mint and lemon, you can tell the difference. I think that's quite fun. Yeah,
it's not a strong flavour, is it? It's just more subtle.
It is much more subtle.
I normally lean more towards the flavoured products, but I have had these in training as well, and I, again, don't dislike them. They are quite easy to digest, and I think I'd definitely include these in a nutrition plan. Whether you get bored of them after a while or not in a long day, maybe. But what's actually in them nutritionally? And I've ripped this to shreds, but
30 grams of carbohydrates, and that is pretty much it. They are very, very basic, and that's not a bad thing at all. They don't contain really any salt, no protein, fiber, fat. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. It provides an easy source of carbohydrates. I don't know if these are a 2-to-1 ratio. I don't think they are. So probably more glucose dependent or glucose heavy.
Yeah, I do like this about PFNH products. They very clearly set out like what's in it, and they don't add anything that's not needed. We'll see this on the other products as well. And like their mixers, you've got carb only or carb and electrolyte, and it literally says it to you on the front of the packet. So yeah,
it's a big plus, I think.
I just wish to get rid of the cardboard. I think the 60, which is their new product, which is 2 of these, doesn't have the cardboard in it.
Okay.
So that'd be good, but I don't have one of those to test. Cost-wise, £2.20 per chew, so for 30 grams of carbs, in the right sort of ballpark versus its competitors.
Yeah.
And again, you can scale up with these sorts of things, so you buy more, they're cheaper per item. Again, I still think that's expensive to have 30 grams of carbs for training, but for a race day,
might fit in quite nicely.
yeah. Here we go then, James, some completely unbranded
They really do look like something just from a corner shop.
How much do you trust me?
Yeah, we'll go with yes. I'll tell you tomorrow.
I promise you they came from this packet. So these are Decathlon Energy Mixed Fruit Jellies. I didn't realise Decathlon did this sort of product until I embarked upon this little journey, but apparently they do. And let's get stuck in. I actually really like the packet. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they make it easy, right? These feel so cheap. I mean, I think that is the point.
Yeah. So it's just like a fruit jelly, I think. I mean, you know it's good when it's coated in sugar, right?
That is exactly what I expected.
It does taste like, you know, if you were to buy fruit pastels, but not the Maynard's branded ones.
Yeah.
It tastes a bit like that.
Yeah, can I give that one a go on them? What is it meant to be? Do you know? No.
Is it lemon or something? It's yellow flavour.
Yellow, okay, that's purple. So, actually depends what you're after, but they are so sugary.
I like that.
So, that I'm not keen on.
You know, I like this more. Yeah, I mean, they're sugary in terms of the flavour and also literally physically sugary.
Yeah.
I'm crunching it in my teeth.
Exactly that.
So does that mean that it's got loads of nutrition in it then, James? What do you reckon?
I don't think so. They are 21 grams of carbohydrates, so not much. You would have to plough through those, and I don't think I would really want to, if I'm honest.
This is mostly in French what we're looking at as well, so I'm not sure this is really help to you. Okay, well, can I try and save the day with the cost?
Yeah, go on. What are they?
Chew, 67 pence.
Okay, so that is... I was right, they are...
Cheap.
They look cheap, they feel cheap.
Yeah.
They are cheap.
Yeah. So if you scale that up, so 40 grams of carbs for £1.30.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think as well, especially if you're, I don't know, cycling around France or something, there's a lot of Decathlon stores. You know, you can go in and get something that is a relative energy product for not a huge amount of money.
Yeah, they are great for that. And the package is easy, simple. Like, that is a very usable thing for like the weekend riding, that you're not worrying about like racing or very specific stuff.
Yeah, this to me is a halfway house between the premium sports nutrition product and the cheaper
DIY.
jelly baby. Yeah, it's like a halfway house, isn't it? I don't think I'd stay at the halfway house. I think go one way or another, but
I would agree.
Okay. 226ers Cherry and Cola Caffeine Vegan Gummy Bar. Really rolls off the tongue like that.
Yeah, it does. That's catchy.
Yeah, so the opening of it is similar to a lot of these chews, and that you're probably going to struggle on the bike. You can do it one-handed with the teeth, but you always get that, like, you're not properly in it, are you? Then having to do some wiggling to get the product out. I knew these forks would come in handy. So, that's quite tough as well. You can get stuck in if you like.
Let's have...
Ooh.
You're getting some flavour. I feel very refined eating a sports gummy. Oh.
Very cherry. Strong flavour.
Actually, some cola.
Not as much cola as cherry, I don't think. It's caffeine as well, isn't it?
No, I'm not keen on that.
You're not?
The caffeine, I presume that's the caffeine that comes through, that's quite bitter. It started off quite nice with the cherry and cola, and then you get this quite acidic-y, bitter taste come through.
These used to be on Ironman courses, and I think they're still on a couple of like rogue ones that aren't run by Ironman, like I think Lanzarote might still have these, I can't remember. So, taste test aside, James, what's actually in this product nutritionally?
So these have 17 grams of carbohydrates, which is tiny, tiny, tiny. 50 milligrams of caffeine, and it has some taurine in it as well. From a performance perspective, I'm really just looking at the caffeine content. 50 milligrams, fine. 16 grams of carbohydrates is teeny tiny. So considering the taste as well, they would not be particularly high on my things to use.
Especially if you're having to have a few of these to get those carbohydrate numbers up, you're going to be having quite a lot of caffeine. If you're having all the caffeine ones, aren't you?
So like, yeah, maybe you would use this as just a way to get in some caffeine, and you'll be using them occasionally, so they'll just fit as part of an overall nutrition plan. Oh, they don't do it for me.
I'm afraid the cost won't do it for you either. £2.30 per chew.
That's a lot.
For 17 grams of carbs, that is not a good deal, I don't think.
No.
So,
you're not getting much for your money there, are you?
Not at all. The Clif Block. Now, this product, James, has been out for a long time, hasn't it?
This is like old school.
I remember buying these in big boxes and scouting around for the cheapest ones. I also remember them being an absolute pain to open.
Have they got any better?
Well, that was pretty good, but I think
Seemed
inside
reasonable.
it's, I think I might just use a fork for this. Just
Back to the refined gentleman we are. You just bring back memories.
I don't think you can go wrong with a Clif Block. I think it's a good product. How I used to use these in training is cut the top off first, and then you can just squeeze like one out at a time.
So that's what I was going to say, because if you open the packet like that, that's a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
But
And they're all over the floor.
yeah.
And you can't do the 10-second rule at 20 miles an hour. So, taste and texture-wise, I like that it's not too chewy.
Yep. They almost melt. They do.
I like that you can squeeze them out, so in reality you're not getting sticky hands, but even if you do touch them, they're not that sticky. I think these last quite a long time as well, and even when they go past the sell-by date, they're still absolutely fine, like most sugary products. But nutrition-wise, what do you think to the good old Clif Block?
Yeah, so this totally just depends on how you decide to use it as part of your nutrition plan, because for me a lot of the time it's about trying to reduce faff and how many times you're reaching into your bag, your pocket, your saddle, because they come in tiny sections. So one of them, let's remind myself, so for 12 pieces there are 46 grams of carbohydrates, which is fine as an overall thing, but when you break that down, this is going to be quick
6 in a packet.
Okay.
So 23 in a packet.
Yeah, so then it's just under 4 grams of carbohydrates per thing. That's small, so you have to go through a lot of those. So again, this is like if it fits as part of a nutrition strategy and you just want a breakup, that's probably okay, but in terms of how much it provides overall, it is a lot of faff for not that much.
I like this sort of thing for if you're trying to manage the amount of carbs you're eating on a long training ride, for example, where you're not trying to eat too much.
Yeah.
If you're stopping at a cafe, you're having lunch, you might want a bit of something. Sometimes, I'll have one chew and 5 minutes later have another. Just kids your body just thinking I've had a bit more than it actually has. Obviously you want the opposite on a race day or when you want to perform really well, but I find in training those sorts of things do work well.
So how do they stack up from a cost point of view?
£2.77 per pack. So
Well, that's really expensive then.
yes, not cheap. I think Clif products across the board are more towards that top end, not going to say premium end because it doesn't mean the product's any more premium, but definitely more expensive. You can buy these in boxes of like 12 and 24 to bring the cost down a little bit, but even still, that's the top end of price point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, the Skratch Labs Sour Cherry Energy Chews. Now, the only thing that made me think of Skratch Labs is Lionel Sanders mentioned Skratch a few times when he had that tooth injury. So
Did he?
it just sticks in my mind that he was saying Skratch every time. But anyway, bought the product, so let's have a look at it. I mean,
I was going to say, I think they had a special little...
Oh, is there? What?
Yeah, there isn't...
you don't
Is that a little...
Oh, I don't know now. Have I messed that up? Yes, it is a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's pretend like you did that.
Yeah, I mean, I think opening it that way is okay as well, but that's a teeth
tear.
and hands. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have a look. Sugar coated. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I mean, it tastes like a fruit jelly. So, numbers wise, It is reasonably clear on the packet what's in it, but not entirely.
No, you have to do a bit of digging. And I think we've talked about this before with other packaging. You want it to be simple because it makes it easier to work out how much nutrition you're actually getting. Now, in these packets, there's 38 grams of carbohydrates overall and 50 milligrams of caffeine. But per packet, it says it's 2 servings, and then on the back, they put it per serving. So it's a little bit confusing. So when I read it, I initially thought it was 19 grams of carbohydrates per packet, but it's not. And they also don't put the caffeine on the back either, it's only on the front. So not super clear from that point of view.
You have to do a bit of digging. They are gluten-free, dairy-free and vegan. So again, those who don't want to eat any animal products, this is an option, which is good to have another option on the market. I think Clif are the same as well, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're gelatin-free as well. Taste-wise and texture-wise, I quite like that.
Yeah, I think they actually feel quite neutral almost. They aren't really overpowering. I think they could be a good option.
Cost-wise, £2.35 per packet, which for 38 grams of carbs, that's fairly,
doing reasonably well, especially in
good,
comparison to the other chews.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're overall pretty decent. Like I wouldn't mind eating those on a ride.
Yeah. Finally then, the SIS Beta Fuel Dual Source Energy Chew in orange flavour. James, tell us what is in this product.
So these are a bit easier to talk about as well because Science and Sport are so clear with their marketing, and that is on purpose because they're using this 1 to 0.8 ratio of carbohydrates. So these have 46 grams of carbohydrates, so quite a whack in a single packet, and it's the highest we've had in terms of carbohydrate content. These are designed, like the rest of the Beta Fuel range, to provide high amounts of carbohydrates during training and racing.
This is what I wish the OTE ones would come like.
Yeah,
just put 2
I
in the
know,
packet.
exactly that, yeah.
And very often they're just stuck together anyway, so you just sort of slide them out.
So when I've had these before, I just eat 2 in one go.
Same.
So
yeah.
I really like these.
They are clearly orange, but it's not too orangey. Sometimes you can feel the sugar crunching, I find. But it's just because it's got a lot of sugar in it, doesn't it? So it's going to be present.
The reason I like these is they just do the job that they're designed to do, which is provide simple carbs and a lot of them in one go. You know what you're getting. There's reduced faff time because you're opening far less in the way of packets because they provide so much carbohydrate in one go. And they're in the 1 to 0.8 ratio, which you know then is actually delivering carbs in the right ratio. So it is very good from a racing point of view. I think they aren't necessary for training, is what I would say. It's almost too much.
Yeah.
But they're a great option.
Cost-wise, £2.25 per chew.
So that's
pretty good, isn't
probably
it?
the best
Yeah,
we've
I
had
think
from the
so, the best
chews in terms of pricing.
Yeah.
Funny, really.
Yeah, and if you were to summarise, so we've tested 10 different chews here, what stands out to you as your favourite, or are you going to give me your top 3 again?
I think with the Beta Fuel ones for me really do stand out because I like the taste, I like the texture, I find them easy, and they contain the highest amount of carbohydrates. So for me, that faff is great. I still like the OTE ones. I like the taste. Yeah. I just wish they were. If they were like this, I would say that they would be the best.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Do you think?
Yeah, flavours wise, the OTE ones, but when you're looking at a race and your performance, this just wins because of the numbers, and it's not that much different of a flavour to put you off, outweigh the numbers. So
because the thing is, with the other ones, you almost feel like you are using them as like a very small part of a nutrition plan, whereas this, because you know how much it's a high amount of carbohydrates, you know it's the 1 to 0.8 ratio, you could actually use this very easily as part of a high intake for carbohydrates, which you can't really do with the other ones as well.
To me, that's replacing a gel.
Exactly.
Whereas the other things are, I'll have a bit, then I'm still going to have, I can have a gel 10 minutes later or something. Yeah. It's just not a proper, good enough product for racing, whereas that is.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let us know your thoughts on chews in the comment section down below. Thanks for your time, James.
No problem. Thanks.